and then bring her in. Broken bones. Typically we see leg fractures or tibiotarsal fractures from leg bands getting caught on stuff, getting stepped on. Can also see fractured wings, fractured feet and toes, and even beak fractures if they fly into a window. The signs are going to be dependent on what's broken. If it's a broken leg, they might be holding it up, or they might be refusing to climb. If it's bandages, can often cause more harm than good. So you just want to give them supportive care, keep them warm, take the perches out of the hospital cage and put a towel in the bottom. There's a bird with a broken wing is going to have balance issues, and a bird with a broken leg is going to have even more. See? Don't hand. So, head trauma occurs from flying into windows and doors and even ceiling fans. Pretty common. They can develop concussions and even loss of consciousness from head wounds or head trauma. Things you want to look for: depression, loss of balance, weakness in the limbs, unusual movements like convulsions or seizures. What do you do for head trauma? Not really much you can do, honestly. You want to put them in a hospital cage, take out the perches, put a towel on the bottom of it. Don't put heat. I've been preaching heat all the way up to now, but head trauma is a little bit different. If you provide heat to a head trauma, you're going to increase the likelihood of swelling in the brain, and they're going to develop more problems sooner. So don't put them on heat. Set up to now not to do an emergency. But it's important to dim the lights and avoid making loud noises, because these things can trigger seizures in cases of head wounds. And then call your veterinarian. Even if there's no signs after he's flown into a window, you need to go have him looked at. So I mentioned earlier about a sick bird syndrome. And basically, regardless of what's wrong with a bird, illness, injury, they're going to all pretty much appear similar. Like this little budgie. They're going to be sitting fluffed. He's probably not going to be eating. Might be sleeping more than normal, acting a little listless. Probably fewer droppings because they're not eating. Probably not being very vocal. And I'm sure if you weigh them, there will be some weight loss because they're not eating. And no matter what's wrong with a bird, injury or illness, they tend to appear like this. And you can't look at that bird and say, definitely he flew into a window, or definitely he has a bacterial infection. You can just say that's a sick bird and something's wrong. So if you have a bird that looks like this, I consider that to be an emergency, and they need to be taken in that day. If you wait looking at a bird like this, they're only going to get worse. They're not going to get better on their own. So guess what you do for a sick bird? In general supportive care, you're going to put them on heat. You're going to certainly weigh them, because it's important to know how long they've been not eating. Maybe it's been a day and their weight's okay, or maybe it's been 3 days and they've lost 10% of their body weight. Call your veterinarian, tell them what's wrong, and get them in as soon as possible. But the most important thing you can do for a sick bird is put them on heat, hands down. You can take a bird that looks like that budgie and put him in 95 degrees, he's going to perk up and start eating almost every time. And that's enough to save 90% of the birds that look like that, as long as there's not traumatic injury that's happened. Okay, so toxins can be eaten or inhaled. Inhaled toxins tend to be something you want to deal with now. Eaten toxins, ingested toxins, you want to deal with pretty quickly too, but they don't tend to have the effect that inhaled toxins do, like smoke. Teflon is a huge one. We still see Teflon poisoning no matter how many times we tell people it's bad for their bird. It's bad for people too. I don't use Teflon at all. And there's a lot of things in your home that has Teflon that we don't even think about. Irons and waffle irons and the stuff they spray on upholstery to prevent stains. That stuff has Teflon in it too. So if you use these things, just be really, really careful. No, don't use these things. About that. Also, chemicals can cause inhaled toxicities. Bleaches and aerosols and kerosene. They not only cause toxicity, but they also cause chemical pneumonia. So even if you get your bird through a sudden event, chronic problems could potentially occur.
Can I just say something about that?
Yeah. I use cast iron. That's the easiest for me. I use all cast iron, really. I think I have a couple of stainless steel pans, but
Yeah, all of ours are stainless steel.
that's the safest thing. There are a lot of brand names for these non-stick coatings, Silverstone, and the list goes on and on. I don't trust any of those. Ceramic-based, I'd have to look into that and see, but if it says no PTFE, you're probably safe.
Here it says no PTFE, then it actually says
I
ceramic.
really can't do anything for toxin inhalation. The best thing to do is get them in some fresh air, remove them from the danger, call the veterinarian on the way in so they can be prepared with an oxygen cage and all that good stuff. Okay? I'll take any questions, unless I covered it all.
How do you recommend keeping your bird warm when you're in the car transporting him to the vet?
Depending on how far away you are from your veterinarian, if you've had a preheated heating pad covered in a towel and you take him outside, as long as he's protected from the elements, probably going to be okay till you get to the vet. If you call ahead and tell them, hey, I've got a sick bird with no heat, they're going to preheat your cage. And it'll be, you can just whisk him right in there. So, 15 minutes without heat is not going to be detrimental, but the sooner you get him back on heat, the better.